Wisconsin Eye's 2014 election coverage is brought to you by the Wisconsin Hospital Association. For over 90 years, a valued voice for Wisconsin hospitals, supporting high-quality, high-value care in communities like yours.
Wisconsin Eye is at the Milwaukee Public Library interviewing candidates in the 2014 elections. We're interviewing Mr. David Bowen. He's from Milwaukee. He's a Democrat running in the 10th Assembly District. Mr. Bowen, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate the opportunity to come on.
And just this note, Wisconsin Eye appreciates the support of the Wisconsin Hospital Association, which represents more than 139 hospitals and health systems, for making these candidate interviews possible. Mr. Bowen, give us a short bio and your qualifications and why you're running.
Excellent. I'm currently the 10th District County Supervisor here in Milwaukee County. I've served in my third year currently, and I've passed a number of pieces of legislation that really benefit the people of Milwaukee County, pushing our local economy to grow and to be even better with our living wage ordinance, making sure that individuals that are currently making minimum wage according to the federal and state level, that they earn more so that they can support their families. I'm from this community, born and raised. I'm the son of Jamaican immigrant parents that came to Milwaukee for a better life and to have access to opportunity. And it is that opportunity that I seek to continue to build in this community, in this part of the state. A thriving Milwaukee means a thriving Wisconsin. And I want the opportunity to represent the people of the 10th Assembly District and continue the great work that the current State Representative Sandy Pash has done.
In your website, you say you have stood up against wealthy special interests. Can you give us an example?
Yeah, it's what I've really just built my political tenure on. I think it's important for politics to be politics and the tenure of an elected official to represent the interests of your constituents and the residents that you represent, not those who are pushing and pulling you a certain way, especially when it comes to the wealthy interests in our community and in our country. You know, I led the fight on living wage, and that was up against a lot. We even not only passing it in Milwaukee County, but stopping state legislation from preempting local control, from making the decision to pay our own workers more. I think it's important to realize that it is the people that live in our communities and their control in demanding spending power that creates jobs, not special interests that seek to put their input into the political stratosphere.
Let's talk about K-12 issues. Milwaukee Public Schools. Mm-hmm. What one or two of the biggest changes you think MPS needs to improve its academic record, sir?
Well, first off, I am a proud MPS graduate, all levels of education through MPS. I think first off, we have to talk about investing into our public schools, and all public schools around this state are at a disadvantage when you are siphoning money to another system.
Are you talking about the vouchers and choice schools?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important to recognize that public schools are at a disadvantage, especially in Milwaukee, when resources are not additional resources being given, but actually pitting two groups, two systems against each other. To invest into our children. I think there needs to be another conversation about funding our schools for the sake of the quality of education that we want to give to our children. And I think it cannot just lie in governance changes. I think there's been some special interest in just changing the way that we control our schools, and it's deeper than that to me. I think we really have to look at how much we invest into our schools, so that the children that are coming through our system are ready for the workforce, they're ready for post-secondary education, and that we're actually focused on quality.
If you're elected to the Assembly, you'd be voting on the next state budget. And what would you push for in terms of voucher and choice schools? Would you shut them down, dial them down? Your position, it'd be what, sir?
I think there has to be a conversation that you can't not invest in one system only to invest in the other, and that's currently what we're doing in our current structure. I think that needs to be revised, and we need to relook at that. I think it's important for our schools to be able to, and looking at the facts too, for our schools to be able to provide quality education. How much resources do they need, and how do we get money into the classroom that really impacts students day to day?
Another big issue in Madison is the Common Core standards. Do you support them, Mr. Bowen?
You know what, the Common Core standards is a number of the policies and things coming down from the federal level, and sometimes Madison politics will divert away from common sense policy and perspectives and get a little bit loony, as I say. So I think it's important that that we have some common sense policy, and just because it's coming from the federal level does not mean that it's a bad thing. And I'm committed to looking into that issue to make sure that we are having a common sense conversation about Common Core standards, and not just because it is coming from the federal level.
On health care, Governor Walker and the leaders of the Senate and the Assembly told the federal government, no, thanks for offering us money to expand MA benefits. We're not going to take your money, we're not going to expand it. Wise or not so wise choice?
You know what, I was a very strong proponent of changing state law so that local governments could make the decision for themselves if they would like to expand.
So they could
and use those
seek
funds.
that money? Okay.
Exactly. I think time and time again we've seen some of our colleagues at the state level not really look at the decisions for the future of Milwaukee, the future of Wisconsin, to not accept these funds that can be 100% covered by the federal government. It's a missed opportunity for those who rely on affordable health care, and there are a lot of individuals in Wisconsin that really do need access to affordable health care that are currently not getting access to it, even under the new structure of avoiding federal funds just because we can. I think Wisconsin would save money. Wisconsin would save lives by really getting our residents access to health care that they otherwise wouldn't have access to.
Transportation funding. The Zoo Freeway is going to cost $1.7 billion. The Hone Bridge needs repairs. Yet there's a projected $650 million shortfall or deficit in the State Department of Transportation budget over the next 2 years. Do we delay some of these projects? Do we raise taxes? How do we fill that hole?
You know what? I think it brings up a really big point, and that is that we need to invest into our roads as well as other methods of transportation. And I agree that we do need to replace some of these really large, aging road structures, but we cannot leave transit along by the wayside. While there are people in Milwaukee County that can't get access to jobs, even inside of Milwaukee County, because our transit system is struggling, and local governments cannot do it alone. I should know, being elected to the county board, and wanting to expand our system to make our fares even more affordable, to do some very creative things to increase ridership, but knowing that we are very limited in that scope. So I think it's important that we're not just investing into road projects, and that we also we do some common sense policy and we span them out. I don't know if we can invest into all of these road projects at the same time when we have to have priorities to make sure that transit is a very viable resource for our constituents that need access to jobs and our economies that are in our region.
Would you work for a regional transit authority?
I think it's possible to look at that option. I know I've heard several state officials say that they don't want to move towards that path. I think we need to look at every option that we can, because it really needs to be about economic growth. And for me, and the agenda that I want to push, it's about the economic growth of Milwaukee, the economic growth of the state, and getting people access to great living wage jobs that will allow them to support their families.
Because it's such a timely issue, I'm asking all candidates this. Your reaction to Judge Crabb's ruling on same-sex marriages, sir?
I think it was a win for the ACLU and for all everybody that supports LGBTQ rights. I think it's a shame that we're getting loony again, and we are allowing politics to get in the way of individuals that want to live, that want to have access to a great quality of life in Wisconsin. So obviously this isn't over, and the Attorney General is moving forward in his regard. But I think it's time to wake up and smell the roses. We can move forward with a Wisconsin where people have access to a good quality of life and a free life to live the way that they want to.
Two questions on criminal justice issues. Why do you think Wisconsin leads the nation in the incarceration of African American men, sir?
I think it's a combination of a number of things. Mainly, we really have to get serious about investing into our young people and addressing issues that contribute to oppression of our communities of color, especially young males of color, and young women of color as well. I think these are opportunities to invest into the next generation, to make sure that our young people are on the path to college and the workforce, not to incarceration. Finally, we are realizing that incarceration costs too much in Wisconsin, and we're spending millions, and sometimes I think in the billions of dollars on correction programming, and a lot of these individuals could be steered in the right direction if they can get access to living wage jobs to support their families. And then there also brings up the conversation of what we did in Milwaukee County, making sure that there is a house of corrections that has access to programming that actually develops our clients. Some people call them inmates, I call them clients, because these individuals are coming back to our community in short periods of time. And we need to prepare them to live in our community and be contributing members of our society, not keep them in the revolving door of the system. This is very critical to the long-term sustainability of our state and our region.
Two candidates for Attorney General say first offense drunken driving should be a crime. Do you have a position on that issue?
I think it's definitely time to revisit what we should do around first offense drunk driving in Wisconsin, because of the trend that we're continuing to see. Individuals that are repeat offenders continuing to reoffend, and I think it's a great opportunity to look at the facts, look at the stats, and to really make some evidence-based decisions, not just because we don't want to we don't want to do certain things because of wealthy special interests. Again, I think it's about the long-term viability of our community and the safety of our residents and the safety of these offenders as well. They need access to services to help them heal, and I think alcoholism and individuals that need access to help, this is an opportunity that we can invest into it, just like we need to do the same for mental health as well. A huge system that needs access to more services and resources, because as a state we aren't doing all that we can.
There are calls in both Washington and Madison to raise the minimum wage. Your position on that?
Yeah, as the author of the Living Wage Ordinance in Milwaukee County, I think
how high should it be, the minimum wage?
Well, I think the first step is we need to increase it. We can't have a conversation looking at the history of our country where we've always raised the minimum wage, but all of a sudden that we realize that our constituents are continuing to struggle, the cost of living is continuing to rise. And we would not revise and relook at the option of raising the minimum wage, first off. Second, I think it's important. Dr. King, when he was really organizing and working with workers to address issues of poverty, he noted that it is important for individuals to have access to a living wage. We were motivated in Milwaukee County because all over this country, 150 times, municipalities have passed living wage ordinances. In Milwaukee, the city of Milwaukee and Dane County and the city of Madison, they have living wage ordinances on the books. We knew that this was something that was an opportunity for us to make that move as well. So we moved in that direction because we believe having living wage jobs creates a better local economy for families to take care of themselves, not have to rely on public assistance. And we were able to win that fight, and I'm proud to have led that fight as well. We definitely need to revise our minimum wage so that it is a living wage to me, so individuals can have access to good jobs to provide for their families.
Any other issue that's a central part of your campaign that I haven't asked about, sir?
I think we've covered a lot, Steve, but I think it's important to note that we have a number of Democrats running in this race.
Yes.
And
do you want to highlight any differences with them?
I think it's important that I'm the only candidate with elected experience that has passed progressive legislation, that has worked in the community on the side against special interests that continue to control our government. And our government was not created to be controlled only by the wealthy few. It was set to be controlled by the people who have the right to have a vote and a say in their quality of life, into their districts, their communities, and their state. I want to return Wisconsin and Milwaukee back to that. A government that works on their behalf, not only for the wealthy few.
Well, thank you. David Bowen of Milwaukee is a Democratic candidate in the 10th Assembly District. The primary is August 12th. Mr. Bowen, thanks for talking to Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.